Choice touch is the practice of respecting a bird's body. It is the belief that the bird has the right to say no to touch or handling. Of course, there are situations such as health checks, vet visits and emergency handling where they will need to be moved from one place to another where this will not apply. But in every other situation, they need to be respected. This is the practice of asking them if they would like to be tickled. If you ask them if they want to tickle and they lower their head, then the answer is yes, and you can proceed to tickle them for as long as it looks like they want to be tickled. However, if they don't lower their head, if they open their beak or back away or simply just sit there and look at you, that most likely means they don't want to be tickled at that moment, and that should be respected. We need to think of whether, if we weren't in the mood to be touched, whether we would like it if somebody touched us anyway, or whether if a dog wasn't in the mood to be touched, whether touching them anyway would be an appropriate thing to do, because in many people's opinions the answer would be no. However, they still expect a bird to be stepped up, handled, touched whenever they want them to be. People think that the only point of having a bird is to either touch them and make them sit on you whenever you feel like it, or for them to talk on demand. Now, both of those things just aren't what having a bird should be about. There's a lot more to them than that. It's very important that we acknowledge them and what they need because of their high intelligence levels. When you're looking at a bigger parrot, you're talking about intelligence levels that match or sometimes exceed the level of 3 to 7-year-old human children or 3 to 4-year-old human children, depending on the individual and the species. Now, a lot of people don't think that birds are very intelligent, and they couldn't be more wrong. So people who hear that about choice touch and that we believe that a bird should be asked whether they should be touched, or if you're going to give a bird a treat, for example, to hold 2 treats up, they can be the same, they can be different, and say which one would you like, if they take food from your hand, this is, and let them pick up or take from you whichever treat they like. Now, it's just about introducing little options to them, the small amounts of choice. They don't have to have control of absolutely everything, and you have no control and no ability to say yes or no to them or anything. It's just about introducing little elements of trust and little elements of choice that allow them to practice what they feel and what their opinion is. Because when you're looking at species like birds, even right down to the little finches, I've seen this, and if you observe them closely enough, you can see that they have opinion and they have preference. And yes, other pets may have opinions and preference, but to a bird, particularly the larger in the size that you go, they have it to a kind of human degree almost. And it's incredibly important to them, as it would be to a child or to an adult human, to choose what they want sometimes. And that doesn't mean we can have everything our own way all the time and what you say goes all the time, but just imagine if you had no element of control in your life. If somebody dictated when you ate, what you ate, how you ate it, they dictated what you played with, where you lived, where you were located, they dictated whether or not you were allowed to move in the way your species is naturally allowed to move, they dictated whether you went outside or stayed in, they dictated whether you had company of another person, they dictated absolutely everything, when you had a bath, when you didn't, just all of it. You imagine how out of control and how possibly quite miserable you would feel. And then imagine if somebody started introducing things to you, like they decided to give you a treat, and they said, which one would you like? Or they said, would you like to go outside? And they saw your response, would you like me to touch you? Because if you don't want me to, that's fine. You imagine how that must feel, to suddenly have your feelings acknowledged when they never were before. And you may love your bird just as that other person or that other species would love you, but doesn't it really show that you're loved when people start to acknowledge your feelings and your opinions a bit more? Now, of course, like I said before, there are times when they need health checks, vet visits, things like that, where they can't say, no, I don't want to be handled. But just introducing just little elements gradually over time, because it's a big shock to them when you start to do this, then it's important, I think. And that's what Choice Touch is about. And we do extend it to choice living, where they're allowed to choose which treat, which toy, just little things like that. It doesn't have to be anything major, but it really does make a difference. Now, this is mainly created for birds with behaviour challenges and special needs, because those are mainly the birds we take in. And they have much higher anxiety levels. Some of them have been to 3, 4 more homes, and we are one of their homes that they just believe they're going to be shifted straight on from. And that's what we've introduced Choice Touch to, is their lifestyle, to make them realise that things are done at their own pace. Today we had an Amazon come out of his cage, and he's been with us for 2 years, and he hasn't wanted to come out, and we haven't forced it, and after 2 years he finally came out and sat on me today. And words cannot describe how incredible that felt and how proud we are of him. And it somehow feels all the more special when they decide to come and sit on you. And if they don't want to sit on you, then that should be respected, really. That doesn't mean they can't be trained. It doesn't mean they won't sit on you or they won't be tickled or anything. It just means that you have a more respectful approach to it. I once saw a Facebook page, I won't mention who they are, but a parrot trainer, and they had a galah cockatoo, and she was on her back on a bed, and her wings were weighed down by heavy things like wallets and mobile phones to make her stay there so they could photograph her, to say they'd trained her to do it. That never sat right with me. I saw a video of an orange-ringed Amazon on YouTube many years ago, where she was being forced to step up and step up and step up, and she was screaming with absolute fear. It was a warning scream, a fear scream, and the person doing the video was laughing at her, thinking it was funny. That deeply upset me. It's just little things like this over the years that you pick up, and then rescuing other birds from different situations that just made me think they shouldn't have to do that. We don't expect that of any other pet. We don't go up to a dog and there's snarling and snarling and backing away and people just laugh and touch them anyway, or make them sit or roll over or do tricks and things. We wouldn't tolerate that. And I think it comes to a point where, as bird owners, we have to sit and think, why are we expecting that of them? It's not necessary. Maybe we should try and find another way, a more kind way. And many people will step a bird up by pressing them under the keel to do it. That may be a method you may have heard of. What that method does is imbalances the bird so they reach out and grab you. That's what it is. And I saw a video, and this was a turning point for me. I saw a video by a very famous parrot trainer, and he said any bird that will step up if you imbalance them and press them on the keel will step up if you just hold your hand in front of them if they want to sit on you. And that was the first moment when I thought about choice. Yes, they have opinion. They should have the right to choose whether they sit on you or not. And that was the first time it really occurred to me. And then slowly, with my rescue birds that have come in from different situations, I've applied